Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I have me a Monster White Haze here, and we're going to talk about the LA fires. Yeah, LA, as I film this, we are still being ravaged by fire, but the fires appear to be under control. My house is reasonably safe, and, a lot of people lost a lot. Okay, it's getting bad. For every 1,000 subscribers I get, I do purchase one of these bracelets from 4Ocean. 4Ocean pulls a pound of trash out of the ocean every time I do that. If you'd be so kind as to comment, like, and subscribe, you'd be doing your part for a better world. Now, I drink in these videos. This is a hard beverage by Monster. It is not an energy drink, as I originally assumed. So it is a Monster disappointment. But it is essentially shitty beer. I purchased this from my blog. I'm going to write a review. And, yeah. Anyway. So I was watching Bill Maher, as I'm known to do, and someone said this was predictable, therefore it was preventable. It's not always capable of preventing things that are predictable, but knowing that it's going to happen should make it a lot easier. And for those of you that aren't aware, there are currently two major fires burning, one in Palisades and one in Altadena. And just my state has seen the largest fire-related natural disaster in history. It's hard to say the largest disaster in history because Los Angeles itself was twice destroyed by fire. That was a long time ago, and people seem to have forgotten. But on Bill Maher, somebody said, this was preventable. Which, yeah. Obviously, if you knew it was going to happen, there's something you could have done. We didn't know it was going to happen. It is, it's like, look, this is California. We always have fire problems. We always look to the federal government for help. And yeah, I myself have been actually writing the governor and saying, hey, we need to deal with this. It's going to hurt tourism. It's going to damage the state. And we need to do more. Okay. So yeah, it's always possible for there to have been more to do, but do understand something, that a certain level of fire prevention lays on the mayor and the people in charge of the county of Los Angeles, because the county of Los Angeles is the one that did not have fire hydrants that were working. Governor Newsom is responsible for the whole state, and it's like, saying that this is his fault is kind of like looking at the principal of a school and saying it's your fault that math class cheated on their final exam. It's not necessarily his fault. He could have done more to prevent it, but, you can't lay the blame squarely at his feet. Now, I do believe that there are places in California where programs have been running that mitigate, reduce fire danger. And you do have to ask yourself, so why weren't those implemented in Los Angeles County? And the answer is because the people in Los Angeles County didn't think of it, or they had other ideas. And I mean, there was a big thing about all of these fire trucks sitting in the boneyards because we didn't have the money to work on them. And on the one hand, yeah, you're 100% right. Those things should have been up and running. But another issue that people aren't understanding is that we need more fire tenders, which are tanker trucks that deliver water to the firemen. So it's like, yes, every individual fire truck can carry water, and any one of them would have meant less fire damage. You know, it's like if we had gotten one, assuming we had a crew to run it, which I don't know if we do. You know, it's one of those things. Is like, yeah, a fire truck runs between $200,000 and $1 million. That's what the internet says. I'm sure there are more expensive fire trucks. You know, I'm sure that the ones with the big tall ladders are more expensive than the ones without. And when you think about it, you could probably have some very simple fire trucks. And we should have very simple fire trucks because guess what? This is a state where there's a lot of fire. So, you know, if we just had tanker trucks, just regular old tanker trucks, filled them up with water, and used those to deliver water to the engines, that would have probably worked. I don't know if we did that or not. I don't have the money or the ability to go out there and interview 100 firemen and say, what can we do to solve this problem? And I mean, you know, it's like, yeah, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So this brings up the question, you know, if we could take $1 million and start a pilot program in Los Angeles to use sheep or goats to eat the dry brush, would that have done anything? Well, we don't know. You know, here's that problem is that, yeah, okay, they say that the power line should have been underground. Yeah, okay. But, you know, for every mile of power line underground, I think it's like $11 million. It could be $3 million. I mean, it depends on where the power line is and what you're disturbing and all of those factors. But do understand that making these power lines subterranean, putting them under the ground, means that you're not using that money to buy more fire trucks. And it's like, yeah, okay, if you say it's cheaper to replace the above ground wires than to put them underground, and you've got, you know, 400 miles of wires, if the difference is I can replace 100 miles of wire or I can put 20 miles of wire underground, there's a trade-off there. I mean, understand something is like, yes, if we had infinite money, then yeah, okay, get me a pool of 1,000 extra fire trucks, and like, what would that be, $1 billion? And, you know, get as many people to become reserve firemen as possible, you know, and okay, so now we've got as many people to become reserve firemen as possible. Now we can fight the fire. It's like, yeah, look, you know, I could do things, come up with ideas for you that would work. I could come up with like, okay, you know, we need more reserve firemen. All right, well, just because somebody is a volunteer reserve fireman doesn't mean that it doesn't cost money to train them, to get them supplies, to get them a uniform. I mean, that's that thing that nobody understands. is that we still need people. We still need to get this equipment maintained. I mean, it's like, yeah, one of the things I did while the fires were raging and while I smelled the smoke coming up to my house is I went online and I looked up fire museums. And we have fire museums with reasonably modern fire trucks as exhibits. And if we had infinite money, what we could do is take those fire trucks and maintain them and then roll them out when the fire happens. All right? It's not beyond the possibility. The city could start a program where we rent fire trucks to Hollywood. Rent a fire truck. There's any number of things you can do, from asking people to collect scrap metal and then sell that scrap metal, for maintenance on the fire trucks, or have people do bake sales or whatever have you. Like, there is Firehouse Subs donate some of its money to firemen and their families. All right, we could have a sandwich shop like that, and there's also Firehouse Coffee. There's all kinds of things we could do. It's like, could we take the police helicopters and fit them to also fight fires? Yeah, we could do that. There are some countries where, in fact, a fireman and a policeman are the same thing. There's just, this is the person you call in an emergency. And, I mean, I think maybe you start out as just being fire watch, and then as you move through the academy, you become, whatever it is. So somebody who starts off as a fireman can go to detective or whatever have you. And there are advantages and disadvantages to this. But the point being, yeah, there are all kinds of ideas on what we can do to make this better. The problem is finding the right idea and the one we can afford. I mean, it's like, one of the things I said was, why don't we have these celebrities, because Hollywood is famous for them, come up and sponsor a fire truck. Mel Gibson lost his house. Well, hey, Mel, would you give us $1 million and we could have the Gibson as a fire truck, and maybe give us a second $1 million and you could have 3 fire tenders added to our fleet. You've got the Gibson as a fire truck, the Braveheart is a fire tender, the Riggs is another fire tender, and what's another Gibson role? The Mad Max, or the Max, or whatever the Rockoslunsky, whatever you want to call it. You could call them the Gibson, the Wallace, the Riggs, and the Rockoslunsky. And you could do that, yeah, okay. And you could hit up all kinds of people like Elon Musk and Bill Gates, and hit up every person who's rich enough, and then you could call up Disney and say, okay, we're going to have a squadron of firefighting equipment. They're going to be called the Mouse Squadron, or the Mises, and, like, there's going to be Mickey and Minnie and whatever have you. Sure, you could do that, but, it takes money, you have to organize it, you have to find companies willing to make that investment. Yeah, it would be really great if the next time there's a Marvel movie, in the premiere, what's going to roll by? Well, we've got the fire truck that's named Thor and the fire truck that's named Iron Man. And we've got the entire Avengers lineup of fire trucks and their tenders, which, they're named whatever else, yeah, okay, it'd be cool if we could do that. But there's no guarantee that Disney would be on board. And, I mean, there may be a good reason that we don't name fire trucks. I don't know. I mean, I only have a very limited look on the world. And I can tell you what it seems like to me. This is what we should do. But half the time, they're already doing it. And the other half the time, it's, well, where's the money? I don't know. I do know we have to do something. And I have water on my face. I also know that these things are a disappointment. I don't drink Monster because I like the flavor. I drink Monster because I want to stay up. And this doesn't have anything that's going to keep me up. Anyway, thank you for sharing this moment with me. I'm Richard. Danger Ducky says it is now time for you to comment, like, and subscribe, and support this channel so we can do things like save the world by removing trash from the ocean, planting trees, and feeding orphans. Danger Ducky approves.